Welcome everybody to UFO Man Live. My name is Tim or UFO Man, and we want to welcome you to tonight's presentation. First, I would like to introduce my panelists, Mike Floxera, bottom left,
Hello?
and Polly Rodderman, bottom right. Polly Rodderman is an investigative journalist and is very intent on digging deep into the UFO phenomenon so that you receive good information along with my flock Sarah. Tonight we have a special guest who is returning to the channel for the second time, but on a different channel altogether, UFO Man Reloaded, and his name is Darcy Weir. Darcy Weir is a documentarian, a filmmaker, and what was the last thing you told me to say? I don't remember.
I didn't say anything. You can call me
Okay,
whatever you want.
documentarian, filmmaker, and I would say all around UFO researcher.
Right.
Um, um, Tonight we're going to be talking about the Agua Dia, Puerto Rico sighting back in 2013. We do have a lot of footage to watch. So we're going to take it away with Darcy. So here we go. Polly, I want to have you ask the first question.
Darcy, it's so great to have you with us because I truly believe that not only as a filmmaker, but as a researcher, you've done an amazing job in about that incident in Puerto Rico with what happened with that UFO. It's very controversial because we have the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies came with a version, and then we have the Aero version. So let's take us first, like, what took you first to research the UFO phenomenon as a filmmaker?
hmm
And then what took you to Puerto Rico?
I think the initial intrigue into ufology or just the UFO phenomenon came when I was a younger guy. I had seen sci-fi and stuff like X Files and thought, oh, this is just a cool sort of horror story that people can get into. But later on in my life, I had like a UFO sighting, and additionally, I started researching an individual called Phil Schneider who said that he worked on like underground bases and got into a firefight with aliens and such. And I found the story absolutely incredible. So that was my very first documentary called The Underground. And I reached out to his late ex-wife, Cynthia Dreyer, and my first interview with Richard Dolan and a whole bunch of other really intelligent and articulate people that wanted to tell the story of underground bases. Actually, what's his name? Richard Souter, who is really hard to get a hold of these days, but he gave me a very unique interview on his research into underground bases and what was happening in the United States post World War II. So, yeah, I was hooked, and I've been sort of reporting on these unique stories and cases that have come out of the UFO community ever since. And the Puerto Rico story, first of all, I didn't even really know about the Agua Dia footage. I was told about it by a Puerto Rican, by Andy Marcial. And
Wow.
Andy said, if you ever want help in making that documentary, let me know. We can maybe go to Puerto Rico and find people that are surrounding this case. And lo and behold, after I met him, about a year later, we flew to San Jose. Is it San Jose? I think is like the capital city of Puerto Rico, basically. And we got in a rental car and drove out to the west to the Agua Dia region, and we started making this documentary about the sightings and experiencers in Puerto Rico.
Awesome.
That's
And
cool.
so, how did you get to the whistleblower actually with the Aguadilla incident?
Yeah, I would call him a leaker. So this gentleman was friends with Jorge Martin, who Jorge has been covering, cryptid sightings, UFOs, and the sort of paranormal in Puerto Rico for 40 years. And we reached out to Jorge via email, and I got on a phone call with him, and sooner or later we were, booking flights and accommodation and booking interviews with people. This guy was very reluctant to come forward because he didn't want people to know his identity. He still works within CBP, like with the Department of Homeland Security apparatus. And I remember being in the Aguadilla region, and we only had a couple days left to stay there. We'd filmed a bunch of stuff already. And I was like, I don't even know if this guy's going to come forward, and we're running out of time. We got to leave soon. And we got a call from Jorge Martin, and he said, look, he's going to meet you tonight. And we recorded that conversation we had with him. And we drove out to the airport where the sighting was had. The video footage was recorded, the Aguadilla 2013 footage in April. And we got to meet this man. He didn't want to be recognizable, so we filmed everything from behind. And he essentially worked there when the footage was recorded. His friend was a FLIR camera operator on the CBP plane that went up in the air and recorded this interaction. And his friend said when they landed, come check out this footage. This is really, really strange. There's a couple key things that people may not understand when they first see this footage, but the backstory to it was that no one on the ground in the air traffic control tower or on the plane could see this with their physical eye, which is a key characteristic, let's say, of UFOs, right? They can kind of stay out of the visual spectrum, but in the FLIR camera light spectrum, infrared, they were able to capture this thing. And when the camera operator caught on to it, he radioed the control tower, asked them if they had something on radar or whatever, if they had seen it. They couldn't see it. So he started recording it and following it, and it did this circle around the Rafael Hernandez International Airport, went to the beach, and then kind of disappeared in the water. Before doing that, there's this anomaly that looks like it splits into two before it does that. And the strange thing, also what this guy said is that the object originally, before they picked up on it, they witnessed it coming from the ocean. So it kind of did a complete circle and then went back to where it came from. Arrow, they did a paper and published that it was two Chinese lanterns that you see in the footage. And in my doc, I worked with Dave Falch. Dave Falch is a FLIR cam repairman that actually works on these $100 to $1 million FLIR camera systems that are outfitted on F-18 Raptors, helicopters, and CBP planes. And he knew right away that the type of camera system that recorded this was a MX-15 system. These are not cheap. They're state-of-the-art, And usually when they look at something, and you can go to if you go to the YouTube channel, Dave Falch, Falch, his YouTube channel has a lot of this FLIR camera system videos uploaded to it. And it shows what a Mylar balloon looks like. It'll look kind of silvery, right? Those are the more metallic looking party balloons.
Right.
He shows on his channel what just a typical nylon or rubber balloon will look like. It'll look completely see-through pretty much because there's not a lot for light to reflect off there. He shows what a bird looks like. It looks like a bird with a wingspan and a shape, right? He shows what a drone looks like. And a drone often gives heat from the propellers. So you could see the hot points are usually the propeller engines. He shows what a fighter jet looks like on his channel. Looks like a fighter jet, and usually the hot point is the exhaust out the back where, you know, the jets are. And he shows what a whole bunch of stuff looks like. He even shows what Chinese lanterns look like.
Right.
And what a Chinese lantern looks like is a hot point is emitting, the fire is emitting sort of light from the middle. And you'll see this kind of like papery exterior that, you know, obviously looks more balloonish. I think when you look at this footage, what's so compelling about it is that it's one of the longest pieces of video footage that we've seen of a UAP before. Okay.
Right.
Over 3 minutes long. And for about 3 minutes of that, you see a single object that's roundish, sometimes disc shaped almost. It never looks like two Chinese lanterns. And
Exactly. And the contradiction, I guess, is again, why would the government take it till today as a delicate video if it was just Chinese lanterns? Yeah.
Exactly. They're just trying their absolute best to debunk this as much as they can because it was leaked. It was legitimately not supposed to be out. And it has, you know, what's different from the Department of War UAP footage that's been released, all that heads-up display information indicating miles per hour or kilometers and latitude and height in the sky and all that stuff is not present. They redact that. But this footage, all that's present. So you have a lot of points to understand, you know, apparently the object was going around, I think, 19 miles per hour. So a lot faster than like a balloon would or Chinese lanterns. And typically Chinese lanterns just rise. They don't go, you know, up, down, or towards oceans.
Right.
Especially when the wind usually comes off of the ocean, right?
Right.
So another, you know, what would seem intelligently controlled aspect to it. If you
Did the leaker tell you what drove him to give you this information, even though the risks around it?
yeah.
Maybe
So
before even we see the video, Tim, maybe we should see the video after.
I think the officer that leaked this just realized that it was highly anomalous footage, and he wanted, you know, at all costs for it to be out in the public for people to see, so that people like me and you could have a conversation about it and say and scrutinize whether it's real or fake or Chinese lanterns or not.
I'm glad that he did bring it, release it, because it's some great footage. It's very compelling, and it's the kind of stuff that we need to see because so much out there is not, you know, legit or
Clear.
at all, right? So when you see stuff like this, and that guy thought enough about it to release it, give him mad props on that because that takes guts,
100%. Yeah.
I do have the footage.
You have
And
the footage.
we can talk during the footage.
Sure.
So here we go.
Awesome.
There it is.
Yep.
Yeah. So one thing to know about this, we did play it as it is kind of zoomed in, but the original footage, it's zoomed out, and you see a little speck kind of like flying on the horizon, and then the FLIR camera operator magnifies, zooms in, and you can see it. So you can see in the background, this thing is flying over, with a background of field and ponds and houses below. You can see, 210 feet there. It just went over two different flight paths, like what do you call it? Runways, right? And there's trees. That's actually a parking lot. There's roads and cars underneath. The SCU guys, Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, surmised that it was probably about the size of a small car, just because of its size when it flew over the parking garage and the cars that were moving on the street below. So kind of a large object, not really like a small drone or a small balloon. This is the beach. There's the waves. And it zooms in. It does look more like an orb here. And then strangely, it kind of disappears for a second. You can see it. It's in white because it's harder for the FLIR camera to detect it over the ocean. He's tracking it, though. It's going the same sort of speed. Zooms out. He sees it still. Then he zooms in, and this is where it kind of does something strange, and it looks like it duplicates, almost as if it's trying to lose the tracking, like follow which one, you know what I mean? But you can see there's two there. But another thing that's very key about this footage, back in 2023, in August of that year, when there was an interesting move by the administration regarding UAPs and sort of declassifying some stuff even then, the Department of Homeland Security released their own 2023 tranche of UAP documents. So you can actually Google this, look up the UAP 2023 DHS, or Department Homeland Security document release. And in that, it declared, their own agency declared, that the Agua Dia 2013 footage from April was most certainly anomalous. It went into their, for lack of a better description, what the heck folder, right?
Right.
Because this administration and these professional observers are used to seeing cartel activity, human trafficking activity over the borders or over the oceans. They're used to seeing makeshift submersibles like cartel submarines, planes that are flying in airspace that shouldn't. They're trying to sneak stuff over the border, or cars or trucks that have people in them. And sometimes they see drones, right, that have packets attached to them. Sometimes they see balloons that have packets attached to them. They'd never seen something like this. And, to combine that with the people on the ground at the airport, in the air traffic controller tower, and on the plane that was recording it in FLIR, they all couldn't see the object visibly. So
well, I have a question related to that because correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand that there were no visible lights coming from the object. So, what triggered the thermal camera operators to look onto the object that had no visible lights at night? Do you know that?
Yeah, so I think what triggered it was actually the CBP plane FLIRCAM operator. Um, it's alleged that there might have been some kind of radar contact of an object coming from the ocean. This is reported on by the SCU when they did their original study of this phenomenon, this event. And the FLIR camera operator saw it in FLIR, and he radioed to the air traffic controller tower and to people on the ground, "Are you seeing something in this direction of the sky?" And they all said no. So he was the only one that was able to see it and then track it flying in the airspace above the airport.
Wow.
I slowed it down because it shows it entering the ocean. Both of them.
Yeah. And so the interesting thing is I just came from the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies conference in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And there was an individual that was there that was doing a lightning talk and presenting his technical analysis on the Agua Dia footage. His name is Doug Buettner. So Doug Buettner, he says he's interested in this phenomenon because his grandfather saw a flying saucer hovering on his farm in Portland, Oregon back in 1947. So I guess he has a family history of this stuff, and that's been handed down to him. But right now, he's the university affiliate research. He's a deputy chief scientist at a university affiliated research center for the Pentagon. Interesting connection. He spent his lightning talk trying to explain that his technical analysis shows that the actual sensor for this MX-15 system was lagging and was not showing the object properly. And I get that maybe an object might not come through clearly for a few seconds on a state-of-the-art system like this, but I wasn't really going with his argument that for all 3 minutes and 45 seconds of this footage, it was misreporting. I don't think that's correct. He was kind of going with Arrow's assumption that it was nothing alien or anomalous. I think he said that it probably wasn't 2 Chinese lanterns, which is good, but he thought it was prosaic. And the history of this being reported by people from institutions that want to debunk this constantly is you've got Sean Kirkpatrick and Joshua Semeter. Joshua Semeter came from the NASA debunk panel of UAP some years ago. And Joshua and Kirkpatrick ruled that this was a bird.
No.
So like I said, a bird will look like a bird in FLIR. Right. It will have a wingspan, a beak, and a tail. It won't look like a round object for 3 minutes. It would look like a bird, especially if you zoomed in at one point.
And it won't break apart into 2 either.
Flying. So what they claimed that is an anomaly in the sensor system, that when the bird flew into the ocean area, its body started cooling down from the ocean temperature and air around it. And that caused the MX FLIR system to be thrown off and show duplicate birds. Then fast forward, you've got Arrow, looking at this footage, and they write a paper saying it's 2 Chinese lanterns, which doesn't make any sense, right? It would have shown up as 2 objects right from the start, and when zoomed in, would have looked like a lantern with the fire emitting out of the middle.
Yeah,
this clearly has like edges. It looks more round. It's flying at about 19 miles per hour, and it seems to be going in a certain trajectory that you wouldn't really see a balloon or a lantern. So I don't know. To me, it still seems like a proof of an anomalous object flying in airspace over an airport. Yeah. And
are you aware if the FLIR footage is the only piece of evidence, or is there maybe a larger intelligence file?
I know that the leaker of this footage said protocols changed pretty much the week of that this video came out online.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so Jorge Martin released the footage. It quickly, it came to my friend, actually, Andy Marcial, and he put this on his YouTube channel with other videos that were leaked to him. And it became a huge topic. It was all over Reddit, and it was racking up millions and millions of views. People thought, wow, this is like pretty unique. Meanwhile, back at Rafael Hernandez International Airport, the FBI had come in. And, if it was just something prosaic, why would the FBI come in? And why would they have to change all these security rules at the airport? One thing that changed was somebody like this guy who was working in a different area of CBP was not allowed to enter or access the plane or, the offices that the FLIR camera guy would be operating from. So that was quickly changed. Allegedly, that footage was recorded not only by the plane, but it was recorded by a location on land in Puerto Rico and in central United States. So it's very likely that that footage was poured over by all kinds of analysts within the defense and intelligence community, but FBI shut down how people were going to access that footage in the Puerto Rico region. And, it was quickly, the debunking started right away. I mean, you had people like Mick West working on it, saying it was a balloon and all kinds of stuff. But bird, balloon, they just don't know which one to settle on. But yeah, I think
so they're just trying to suppress it. Then is what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like Roswell. Once first they say they got a disc, and then they say they have a weather balloon. So it's the same thing with this.
100%.
They have good footage, but then all of a sudden it's a bat or a bird or a balloon.
Everything else but what it actually is. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and so Robert Powell from the SCU, he did a analysis of this footage, and he said this looks anomalous by all means based off of their first review of it. And then after Arrow came out and said this is 2 Chinese lanterns, SCU pivoted and they said, okay, it's 2 Chinese lanterns. Really weird.
I actually have a comment from the SCU, and it's right here. The object witnessed by CBP and tower personnel and recorded on the CBP DHC-8 aircraft's thermal imaging system is of unknown origin. There is no explanation for an object capable of traveling underwater at over 90 miles per hour with minimal impact as it enters the water through the air at 120 miles per hour at low altitude through a residential area without navigational lights, and finally to be capable of splitting into two separate objects. No bird, no balloon, no aircraft, and no known drones have that capability. And I took that directly off the SCU site.
Yeah, but recently they have changed their tune about that footage. So it's pretty
You think pressure was
kind
applied?
of like Roswell-esque,
Oh,
right?
no
Like,
doubt.
change the story. Let's stop talking about this.
Nah.
Weird.
So pressure
That's
was
weird.
applied. Now, I have a video of a UFO outside Aguadilla in 2023 of a USO underneath the water that's blue in color. I used to have it a long time ago, but I didn't know where it was from. But now I do. And the year, here it is.
Mira, 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 prendí y apagó. Y una boya allí. Y alumbra de momento, ¿verdad? Submarino. Que no acercarme mucho.
Yeah, no, güey.
Wow, mira eso. Uy, me acerqué.
Porque estaba allá, ¿verdad?
Mira, empezó en el puente y está en la boya, mira la boya.
¿Dónde está el puente?
El puente está a mano izquierda, a mano izquierda. Mira eso, mira eso, mira. Mira, mira, mira eso. Hay algo ahí. Mira algo ahí.
Que te lo dije, que yo vi algo.
Míralo. Yo no sé qué carajo es eso, dale para atrás.
Si no quieres saber.
Dale. 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 Dale.
Quiero saber,
No quiero saber, dale. Dale.
Yo te dije que yo vi algo.
Es un ovni.
No. Dale.
Mira, mira ahí.
Sí, eso es eso. ¿Hundió? Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty spooky, that video. I think the strange thing about that, and I've said this before and argued with a guy online about it, I've been scuba diving since I was 15, and you know, even if you have a rebreather, you have to be wearing that on your back.
Right.
This sort of humanoid
Oh yeah. Weird thing coming out of there.
thing that moves through the water in the light and never comes to the surface, You never see bubbles coming to the surface, which scuba divers would usually emit. It appears to be just kind of like naked. It doesn't seem to be wearing anything that would allow it to breathe underwater. So, and then where's the light coming from? If the
Right.
light is coming from a group of scuba divers or something, you would see some shapes of other swimmers, and you would also see, scuba tanks emitting air bubbles to the surface and so on and
Right.
so forth.
And the
So,
truth is that I was born in Bogota, Colombia, so I speak Spanish, and hearing them, what they are saying, they are scared. They don't understand what is there and what they are looking at, and they look like fishers, people that are kind of on the sea all the time. One of them at some point is saying, let's go, I don't want to stay here, I don't want to even know what is going on there, let's go, let's go. So they I feel they are scared. They want to, like, they want to know, but they are scared, so they want to go. So it's strange for sure.
yeah, I would agree. Like it seems authentic. It doesn't seem like some kind of overproduced creepy pasta video. And the interesting thing is that when we spoke to fishermen in the region when we're making this documentary, and there's a whole bunch of like footage I haven't published before, many people have reported this same sort of thing, like beings, let's call them, swimming within lights in the ocean and so on and so forth around Puerto Rico, objects coming out of the ocean, flying off into the sky, objects entering the ocean. And we cover one other case regarding that in the documentary. But like, it kind of seems like people in that region are used to this.
Right.
Right.
And they would know what scuba divers and other professionals look like when they're in the ocean while they're fishing. Fishermen
Right.
know what other things are going to be out there in the ocean when they're fishing. So
Right.
yeah, it
I know
seems
when
odd.
this footage first came out of that blue light and it was online, a lot of people were suggesting that it was like a mini sub with lights on top of it, and that the lights were blue and green, and that's what people were seeing. But it doesn't justify what swam by it.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
That's-
Like if it just stayed as the blue light, a mini sub does look like just blue light, like an orb
Or a
underwater of blue
luminescent
light.
jellyfish even.
Right.
Yeah, well, but when you see that creature of a sort, it just kind of puts things in a whole different light. Because what is that? I don't know anything in the ocean that is that. I don't know.
Well, I have
Yeah.
a suggestion. There have been people that have suggested that there is a I mermaid type creature that swims in the ocean, that has a humanoid head, a torso, two arms, right, and a fish-like body. Doesn't look humanoid when you see it, but it actually swims around Puerto Rico and other islands in that general vicinity. There have been stories going back to ancient times, carvings on walls of these actual things. So I was always wondering if it might have been that.
I don't know. I just
Yeah.
know that it doesn't look like a scuba diver.
Right.
No,
Right.
it does not.
I would like to take us back to the incident and ask you the other side of the story, which is, um, what was the most challenging obstacle while doing the research there regarding the bureaucratic resistance or surveillance, or, you know, what happened there? How tough was it?
I think like the major challenges were planning and executing filming of witnesses around the island in like 10 days that we were there. Andy Marcial was crucial to translating because a lot of people don't speak English there. For example, the CBP guy that came forward and leaked the video of the Aguadilla footage, he couldn't speak English. So, he and Andy had the conversation the whole time. And then when I got back, it was like editing like crazy to tell the story visually over top of his explanation. And subtitling and all that stuff, right? Like creating English captions. But we had other challenges. Like, for example, it's freaking hot in Puerto Rico, and I'm used to a cold climate. So I was like, I felt like a chicken being boiled slowly.
Oh my God, and you don't know how it feels in this side of the world. So,
Probably hot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're from
45
Brazil.
degrees
You know
Celsius.
you get the hot. I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not used to it. I'm from Canada. But
I know.
Andy would kind of laugh at me quite often just because I was such a wuss about the heat. But the cameras were overheating, right? The cameras could only shoot for so long because you start filming, that creates heat within the camera, and then you've got an exterior heat of about 30 degrees. That's like shut off heat straight away. So I just had to kind of figure that out. And yeah, just coordination, trying to get people to come forward. There were others that wanted like exorbitant amount of money, which I don't have and didn't have then. Because it's just the way it is. I'm very independent, and I wish I had hundreds of thousands of dollars as a budget to make these films, but it's usually like a small amount. And there's travel, accommodation, and food and work
passports
and
all
that
that good stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, like it was a great trip. I love Puerto Rico. I would go back in a heartbeat if I had the funding. And there's so much more to cover there, in my opinion. I think there's a lot more people that have seen stuff, and there's good archival footage. I show some of it in my documentary, Puerto Rico's UAP, which it's free on YouTube Movies. I think you have that link, Tim, right?
Yes, I actually put it in the description underneath our live stream on everyone's live stream, so you can check it out anytime you'd like.
Yeah, it's free to watch. But yeah, that film, when I first released it, Amazon rejected it. Tubi TV rejected it. Like everywhere was rejecting it, and it finally got accepted by like Amazon. I had to redo it like 3 times because like none of the platforms were accepting it. Because the unique thing about it too is that it's told in English, but it's spoken throughout the documentary in Spanish and English, right? So a lot of platforms don't like that for some reason, especially from an indie like me. They just want like all English or all Spanish. Yeah. They don't like the mix. They think that it doesn't work out for their subscribers or their base. But if you look at how it's performed on YouTube Movies, it's done really well. Like thousands and
it's
thousands of people are
beautiful.
watching it. Yeah.
It's
Right.
So
beautiful in my opinion because it's very authentic. You can actually hear the voices speaking in their own languages, their own culture, and that's why your work is so beautiful because it's so honest and sincere and so way to go. Really.
thank
I'm
you.
so proud of it.
Yeah, you
Really.
captured the story uh, as more than a story. You captured it as an encounter, a real incident.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And you actually, in my mind, proved that all the assessments by the government, by Arrow and other organizations were completely wrong, that they were actually trying to suppress the information. And that's one of the things I think they're doing right now when they are releasing the tranches of UFO videos because they're not clear. A lot of them couldn't be ruled out as drones, planes, photographic artifacts, a lot of things. And we all know, at least within the UFO community, there are 4K videos that show clear images and
Oh
clear
yeah.
videos of what people are seeing in the military, in the Air Force, by satellite, all over the place. But they're not releasing it.
Mhm.
I mean,
It's like they don't think we can handle it.
I know what
But
I
I
filmed on just.
disagree.
I know what I filmed on just my cell phone, right? It's very clear on my cell phone, and I'm really far away, right? And it's like they're releasing stuff that is just so grainy too. You're just like, come on, you can do better. I know you can.
I think one thing to keep in mind with the FLIR footage, for example, is the idea that some of the objects that are probably being captured in the FLIR footage is not visible by the human eye.
Correct.
That's a
Yeah,
common characteristic of UFOs, right? They're kind of like,
Right.
for lack of a better description, cloaked to the human experience. But this
Right.
technology, which shoots footage in a light spectrum that the human eye can't see, that is actually picking it up. So I think that's the key to some of the Department of War footage. Not all of it is anomalous, for sure. Some of it is birds, balloons, or prosaic stuff. But like the instantaneous acceleration video,
Right.
I think that shows something. And there's a bunch of other ones. I've actually put some of it on my my Instagram, mixed with the DJ Shadows soundtrack. But yeah, like that's the thing. People go, oh, why is it this black and white grainy footage? Probably because some of the systems that caught it was able to track it when human observers were not. And that's what becomes the anomalous aspect to it, right? The
Right.
fact that we can't see half this stuff flying around in our skies or our oceans,
Right.
or outer space, right?
I mean, like we were talking backstage before we started the show, and I mentioned that I caught an object that changed shape 5 times. And during that period, it also shot down an infrared light beam. When we saw it with our naked eye, we couldn't see the light beam. You can hear from our narrative in the video that we're not even mentioning the light beam. My camera caught the infrared part of the camera, and it showed the beams going down on top of 65-foot pines. And what I'm going to say to you is, I believe that FLIR and infrared, just straightforward infrared at night, can capture things that people can't see. And if you have the ability to get a camera, like a Psionics Aurora Sport or a Psionics Aurora Black, which are the two cheapest versions, go out and film your night sky and see what you can catch. Because there are things flying around that would amaze you, that the government cannot explain away.
I would agree. My friend Anthony Exemplar, he showed me his psionics, and we were recording all kinds of cool stuff in his neck of the woods in New York. So
He has the same camera I have.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. And Sarah caught a UFO video near a fire in California that I would like to play so we
Sure.
can all take a look at it. I'll bring it up here. Here it is.
So when I originally posted this video, Carlos Skywatcher had pointed out that at some timestamp, I can't remember, there was a possible UFO. And I remembered today, whatever day this is today, to check back. And wouldn't you know, what is that? I zoomed back and forth for you, toggling it, and put a few arrows at the end. What is this? Where did it come from? And, good eye, Carlos. I don't know where that is. I don't know where it came from. Flies very fast. Kind of lost for words. Please, let me know what you guys are thinking this could possibly be. I just kind of toggle it back and forth. Just some arrows there. Let me know. Thanks.
Well, that's what Sarah saw, and it looks to me like a fast mover or an actual UFO of some kind. It's moving way too fast for a fire drone, so I don't know what that is.
And then it passes the fire completely, so.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of really good footage out there of objects that don't seem to be birds or flies, in which they go through a shot within like split seconds, milliseconds.
Right.
And I was at this conference this weekend with Ross Coldhart, and we were talking about this famous footage of a drone that was recording an object flying by in split seconds, and it was showing a shadow underneath it on the ground, which would indicate that it was a substantially sized object. It was in the sky, and it wasn't a bird or a fly because it had a shadow on the ground that was, showing that, usually a bird or a fly wouldn't show a large shadow on the ground if it was flying, pretty high in the sky. So, kind of reminds me of that, and the fast mover aspect, something that just moves so fast, it's not usually, again, witnessed by human perception, because I think we see in about 60 frames per second films play on a screen, at maybe 30, 29.97 or 24 frames per second. If you're in the UK, your footage plays on televisions there at 25 frames per second. I mean, these things are moving so fast. It's like in between a frame per second. So, pretty interesting. And I wonder if there's things that are out there operating in our airspace, in around our world that just we can't perceive because they're moving so fast, or they're in a light spectrum we can't see.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Well, I think, in general, I feel Puerto Rico is a hot spot. And my next question for you would be, why do you think it feels like the Pentagon is doing everything to hide a long history of UFO sightings in Puerto Rico? Is it because of the military, or is it because something really is going on there and they are doing everything to hide it?
Could be both. I know that they did have an active naval installation on the island of Vieques, which is just off the coast of the main island of Puerto Rico. And Jorge Martin, he published a book that was a lot of testimony, actually, regarding from people that were Puerto Rican men who operated as guards to the facility, this naval facility, that said that they saw a UFO touch down on the beach off the coast of Vieques, and a being walked out and went into the Navy base with a high-ranking military officer. So, who knows? I mean, it's there's wild stories like that regarding Puerto Rico, and then all the witnesses of objects, crashes, and things in the ocean as well as on the island and in the sky for decades now. Experiencers, people that said that they've been on board crafts and met human-looking aliens and stuff. To me, that points out like something really anomalous is going on there.
You did a huge research in Colombia too, right?
Colombia? No, I didn't. I did some stuff in Mexico initially with Jaime Maussan.
Or in Mexico, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do you see a relation or a correlation between the two phenomenons, kind of, if we are talking about the same crafts, let's say?
I think the anomalies and eyewitness testimony from all walks of life is common in Mexico as it is in anywhere, like Colombia, Puerto Rico, Canada, the United States, the UK, Australia, Italy. It just Africa. It just repeats over and over again. People are seeing an anomaly. They're seeing a craft. They're seeing a non-human entity sometimes, and they're reporting it to authorities. It's often scoffed at or ignored or debunked really quickly. But that same pattern of people seeing something truly anomalously initially is the common feature,
Right.
It just seems like when the current administration is saying, oh, we're going to make all UFOs transparent to the public, they're really not doing that. It's more of a soft disclosure because we're not getting the 4K footage. And Lou Elizondo has stated several times that we have 4K footage of objects that are moving incredibly fast underneath the water, that are bigger than an oil rig, running at 400 to 650 knots, whereas our nuclear submarines can only reach about 40 knots. And
Right.
you know, our nuclear submarines have a gravitational wake, whereas these objects are not leaving a wake. There's no friction, nothing. They're just gone.
That's right.
So what
That's
I'm getting at,
that's that transmedium
right?
physics that defies physics, right? No water, no wave created by these objects.
No displacement.
Yeah, no displacement of water, exactly.
I mean,
Really-
we allegedly have one transmedium object, which is allegedly the TR-3B, because it can fly in our atmosphere and enter space and then come back. Not like a rocket, not like a conventional rocket. It can actually fly into space and then come back. But other than that, we don't have anything that can enter the water and go at that speed and create no wake. We don't. So if another country has that would be a tipping point in the power of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if there are technologies from the American military industrial complex, we'll call it, that are undisclosed to the public, and they're responsible for a lot of these things happening around Puerto Rico, I'm open to that. And,
Right.
Even Christopher Mellon has talked about this 4K footage that has yet to be released. And he was at this conference that I was at over this past weekend, just for a night. But yeah, I mean, we need to see it. We need to see this stuff. Somebody's got to leak it. Somebody's got to be brave, like the CBP guy, but from within a special access program or something, and just give a dump of all the goods, because people want to see like something
But
more
I got
authentic.
to add this: with all the missing scientists and all the people that are going missing connected to technologies that may or may not be connected to reverse engineered alien tech, a lot of people are going silent because they don't want their careers ruined. They don't want to be suicided. They don't want to end up missing nothing. In fact, I've seen a couple videos by Lou Elizondo who says, I am not suicidal. I have received threats. Please be aware of that, just in case I go missing from the scene. So it's like the suppression of the information is still ongoing of the really credible, clear footage. And it almost makes me think that they don't want to lose control of it for some nefarious reason.
Yeah, that could be a really good answer for the secrecy and non-transparency, for sure. Yeah.
But I'm glad that you were able to bring out the Aqua Dia footage and share it with the world with your film. Again, people, his link to his movie is in the description below this live stream. So please watch it and make up your own mind as to what you think it is, because he presents credible information.
Thanks, Tim.
So
Thanks, everybody, for having me.
Next steps? What are your
Yeah.
next steps just regarding to the incident, and what are your next steps in the disclosure movement?
Well, I'm working on a number of projects right now. Some like more pro and covering like the UAP history, kind of like the Puerto Rico story, and then another one that's kind of debunking some stuff because I want to keep it balanced. You know,
Right.
I don't believe everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, look out for more stuff to come.
Awesome, Darcy.
Later
I
this
know that we
Um,
did an interview with Avi Loeb that you were
Oh, yeah.
considering making a film about. Still waiting to see if that comes to fruition.
I don't think I'll work with Avi Loeb, but
Yeah, he kind of changed ever since he became part of the government program of evaluation and assessment of UAP disclosure.
yeah.
Yeah.
But look, I do have to jump to get to looking after my kiddo, but I really
Yeah.
appreciate you having me on, and really appreciate people checking out my work. And Polly, really great to see you.
I love you. And my love to
Hope
you.
you
and
hope you're doing
Yeah.
well in Israel, and definitely take care of yourself and your family, and we'll be in touch.
Awesome.
Sounds
Thank you
good.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you,
Thanks so
Darcy, for
much.
being here. And thanks to everybody who participated online and participated in the chat room. We'll see you next week. Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Pinnacle of Earth, do not fear us. We are only here to help you ascend to a higher frequency. When you do, you will become one with our intergalactic community.
Looking for proof that we're not alone? Welcome to UFO Man Reloaded, your one stop for all your UFO needs. Hit subscribe and join the mission.